I have a YouTube channel I just started, and going to try to record talking about the lesson here. We have a new unit on ecology, and I'm just trying to kind of get myself situated here real quick and get myself going. And ecology, you should be able, I'm curious, I'm sure if I'm going to post this video or not, but um, ecology is study of life on Earth. Okay, and here's the textbook. We didn't use the textbook much in class in the first semester. I think we're going to start using it some more, just to give you guys more of a reference point. This hybrid, I think, system is going to lend itself a little bit more to. We need a little bit more structure. But here's the definition. Ecology is the study of interactions of organisms with one another and with their environment. And so it's anything that's living and how it interacts with that environment. So the other week we were talking about the biosphere, and the biosphere is where anything is on Earth that is alive. And I looked up this morning. It was the Ruppel's griffon vulture has been seen flying at heights of 37,000 feet, which is 7 miles, over 7 miles up in the air. And also in the bottom of the Marianas Trench, west of Guam, out in the Pacific Oceans, west of Hawaii and east of the Philippines, is the Marianas Trench. And in that trench, there's something called the snailfish, which has been seen down 5 miles down in the earth, 25,000 feet, 26,000 feet down into the trench. So between that 5 miles down in the Marianas Trench and where the Ruppel's vulture has been seen is the biosphere of Earth, and that's where all of ecology, anything that's living, exists. And in that, there's two main parts. You have the living part of Earth, which is biotic, and you have the non-living part of Earth, which is abiotic, so rocks, and is not. It's abiotic is not alive. Biotic is alive. Very easy to remember. Bio is life. So abio is non-life. Abiotic is non-life. So in that 13 miles from the bottom of the Marianas Trench to the top where the Ruppel's vulture flies is where all living things live on Earth. It's called the biosphere. Just looking through the different concepts that are mentioned in your textbook here, those that life can be organized from simple organisms to groups of those organisms, which is a population. Then you can have different organizations, populations, becomes a community. You have all that, the living, the plants, the water, everything becomes, the animals becomes the ecosystem. And then where all living things exist becomes the biosphere. Moving along here. Again, this talks about each one of the things I just talked about. Again, population, where you have just the organism, which is the living creature. You have a group of those organisms, becomes the population. You can have a group of different populations becomes the community, right? And then again, the entire the whole ecosystem becomes all the different types of living, non-living things in an environment becomes an ecosystem. They're showing the like a tidal swampland, or actually not swampland, marshland near the ocean. Typically, these areas, um, especially when you have a river come into them, becomes just an incredible amount of diversity of life because you have nutrients coming in from the river. We're going to do a whole lesson on that. And then you have the shallow waters. The sunlight can get to all the plants that conduct photosynthesis, and then you have the ocean also can provide diversity of life to come into to a very robust ecosystem anywhere near rivers and along the coast of you have these tidal marshlands, where you have a combination of ocean life and life that are in the river, and then you have unique life that exists in the marshlands themselves. Just very diverse ecosystems. Um, Again, here we're talking about ecosystem and biosphere again. We've already mentioned those. And then we get into, I think I might end it there just for today. And then, well, you know what? We'll keep going on here a little bit. Producers, this is another concept here. So in an ecosystem, you have people that produce, just like we learned earlier in the year. Producers would be organisms that conduct photosynthesis. They produce their own energy. So large amount of an ecosystem, if you just want to look at their straight mass, most of an ecosystem are the producers. The consumers can't produce their own foods. Survival is much more tricky for them. And so they end up being a lot. If you had to actually weigh all the creatures that exist in an ecosystem, the consumers would be a lot smaller in volume, just mass, and compared to the producers. So anything consumers would be things that eat the grasses, and there's first level consumers, second level consumers. You get into the predators, creatures that eat some of the other consumers, and you go up. It's called go up the food chain and the food web. You get the amount of mass gets it gets much smaller because it's much more difficult to survive when you're having to there's fewer and fewer resources, trying to get food and trying to survive. Again, we'll talk more about that. These are other lessons that we're going to be getting into. Here are the different types of consumers. Herbivores, they just eat the producers, they eat the plants. Carnivore only eats the lower level consumers, so they only eat meat. Omnivores will eat both. They'll eat human beings. We are omnivores. We eat both plants and animals. Then you have things like scavengers will go after anything they can eat. They can eat both plants and animals. And then decomposers, funguses that will chemically decompose. Also the bacteria, different types of bacteria are decomposers that will consume dead organisms, but they are not considered carnivores. But they will use chemical means to absorb and break down dead objects. So that is the kind of nutshell, the ecology, some of the major concepts. that we're going to be talking about here, and make sure you guys understand these and just kind of introducing them to you. So hope you like that, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.